With the first pick in the 2022 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Paolo Banchero from Duke University.
Look, you can't go wrong with Paolo Banchero. There's no doubt about it. He's a special, special talent.
Listen, I never in my life cried tears of joy, ever. Never have been so happy to where I cried, but I can't even keep it together.
But this kid has talent, and he's a culture builder.
But he now becomes their best player.
Kept dreaming, kept working. to be here is crazy.
Coach, good morning.
Good morning. What's happening, guys?
Well, what's happening? What's happening is Vegas got it right, Coach. Like everyone talking.
I know they pump faked me. I left my feet. I got to admit, Max, I left my feet. I had some conversations with the Magic too. So in 24 hours, that thing flipped.
Isn't that crazy? And why? What's in it for the Magic to not tell people what their real intention is? They're picking first. They don't need to fake anyone out, right? But whatever people talking.
I'm not sure they made up their decision until the end. Till the late last minute. I really don't.
In that case, I think it takes some guts, right? Because Jabari Smith maybe has the highest floors. Like at least he's a very good 3-and-D guy already. But maybe they were like, you know what? We're picking 1 overall. We got to swing for the fences. What are your thoughts on Banchero being number 1 overall? Because if you are going to swing for the fences, why him and not Chet Holmgren?
Well, Chet Holmgren's a bigger if. And Orlando obviously had Jonathan Isaac and they had Mo Bamba, two really, really thin, fragile bigs that they've drafted, front court players that drafted that have really, really worked out. So I think this was the safest pick in terms of, look, 6'10", 255, highly skilled, can play in isolations, a great passer, Chris Webber-type vision and feel as a passer from the front court, obviously not committed defensively. He's a guy that's going to probably score 18 points a game next year. I mean, his body is NBA ready. He's got to get world-class shape. Again, Jabari Smith, a little different. I like Jabari Smith because I think they need, culture players. And I don't know saying that Banchero's not a culture player, but I thought Jabari Smith was the best two-way front court player in terms of, you call him a 3-and-D. I call him a guy that could be, a 10-year all-star who, can shoot it, who can play in pick and pop, can play also in a short roll, is not a good defender, an elite defender, could switch 1 through 4. So I actually thought Houston got a great deal because they got two guys in Tari Easton and Jabari Smith that actually helped them fill their need, and that is guys that can be two-way players.
Coach, when you look at the Sacramento Kings, did they make a mistake when they passed on Jaden Ivey and took Keegan Murray?
I don't think they made a mistake. I thought they were going to use that pick to get a veteran player. I think that was the bigger thing. I mean, here's the thing. You got Davion Mitchell, right there, and you got the Aaron Fox. The Aaron Fox and Jaden Ivey are very similar players. Uber athletic, downhill players, get to the rim. Adequate shooters, not great shooters, but guys that can help you win. And then all of a sudden you take Jaden Ivey, he's almost duplicating, where Keegan Murray is one of the most versatile and efficient players in the draft. Keegan Murray, people, again, Iowa, Luka Garza the year before was the player of the year. He went from a 7-point game scorer to a 24-point game scorer. He went from, I think, a 28% three-point shooter to almost a 40% three-point shooter. He can rebound the ball. He can shoot the ball. He's a committed defender. And he's a high-character guy that they need. Sacramento needs, and not saying Jaden Ivey isn't, Sacramento needs a foundation. They haven't won in forever. They haven't been in the playoffs in forever. And I think that, what they said is right now we're gonna win with high character, maturity, which Keegan Murray has, and versatility, and instead of duplicating position you have already.
I don't know. To me, Coach, I think you just grabbed the best player. But, okay, to each their own. So when you talk about who has a chance to be the best player in this draft, who's not the obvious, Chet Holmgren, who do you see and you go, that guy might surprise people?
Yeah, I think, the biggest wild card in the draft is Shaedon Sharpe. I mean, because we haven't seen him. We do know he's a world-class athlete. We do know that he can shoot the ball, effortlessly. from semi-logo range. We do know that he can put the ball on the floor and play both on the ball and off the ball. I would say he's the biggest question mark that could be a superstar. But then you got to look and say, right, who's going to be a fit? Who's going to get the opportunity right now? Who's going to be the guy that, has a chance to do, something special? I think Mathurin for the Pacers is another guy. See, I'm all about the 6'6", 6'7", hybrid wings, the Jaylen Browns, Jason Tatums. That is the new NBA. So if you're going to find a guy that's going to be like that, I think those guys that went back-to-back, Mathurin and Sharp, potentially down the line, have a chance to, if you eliminate those top four, have a chance to be really special.
Coach, when you look at the Orlando Magic, they have actually drafted well the last few years. You talk about the guys that they've been able to bring in. You talk about Suggs. You talk about Cole Anthony,
Franz Wagner, Suggs, exactly.
All those guys. To add Banchero to that, what's the next step for the Orlando Magic to turn those draft picks into wins now in playoff appearances?
Yeah, they do. I really like Wagner, and obviously Cole Anthony had a really solid year, and obviously you got a great leader, Jalen Suggs. I think you need one more big wing to complement. I think to me, I think the NBA is going into. You can play Franz Wagner, who's a terrific passer and a two-way player. He's going to be fine. And Cole Anthony is explosive, and you got a great leader, obviously in Suggs. So you need to continue to develop your role players. You got to continue, like the NBA, and this is the thing. Like the end of the draft, after 10, you talk about best available. Max, you know what it is? It's the guy that's going to embrace his role and where there's a role and an opportunity and a fit. It's really that plain and simple because, the top of the draft is a lot of times, all right, the guys that are going to be the focal point of the draft, but it's 15 through 30 and the first 15 in the second round, as we see where you see like the Draymond Greens and you see those role players. The league is a league of role players. Where's PJ Tucker? Where's Draymond Green? Where are those guys that take your team and basically you don't have to run a play for them. They're going to defend. They're going to rebound. They're going to embrace the role. They're going to play off your great players and make the game easier for your great players. So I think people underestimate the draft. I've got to get to one thing. I got to get this off my chest, if you don't mind.
Shoot, Coach. We're talking to Seth Greenberg, ESPN basketball analyst on Keyshawn, J. Willimax. Shoot, Coach. What do you want to say?
Yeah, all right. Like I'm watching the draft, and I'm watching 19-year-old kids that are, get drafted. All right, and maybe it's in the first round. Maybe at the beginning of the second round. All right, and they look like they're crushed. And I think we have
because they didn't go higher.
Because they didn't go higher. Like the NBA is not a rite of passage. The NBA is the most exclusive club in sport. Usually there's only about 40 Americans that are drafted in the NBA. And I think we have so much pressure on these young people, and we saw Caleb Swanigan, who passed the other day and had some mental health issues. We've got to stop trying to create an unrealistic expectation. I watched Jaden Hardy, who's going to be a nice player, played in the G League, shot 27% from the three-point line. He was devastated. All right, he got drafted 37. That means he's projected as one of the top 37 players coming out in the world. Instead of celebrating, a lot of these young people, unfortunately, there's an expectation, and the expectation is created by maybe sometimes the people around them, the pressure of the people around them, and it hurt me to watch some of these kids come up there and not be excited about the next step. There's a process. It's not a rite of passage, and that you've got to respect that process. So I had to get it off my chest because, it's unfortunate that I'm going to use this young man as an example. Jaden Harvey, like E.J. Liddell was a really good basketball player. Scored 20 points a game in college basketball. Was one of the best players in the Big Ten. He went after him. Kennedy Chandler led Tennessee to one of an absolutely incredible year. He's an elite potential point guard in the Darius Garland mode. Not that good, but a very good player. We've got to stop setting unrealistic expectations and let these 18 and 19-year-old kids understand that it's a lot harder than it looks on TV. Harry, I'd be interested in your take because you lived it as an athlete.
Well, I think when we put these expectations on people, I know a lot of people, especially NFL-wise, they're just excited to get drafted, right? Whether it's the first round, second round, third round, seventh round. But then when you get to free agency, a lot of guys aren't upset at being free agents because now you get to pick where you want to go. Yep. So I think it might be different in the NFL versus the NBA.
So I feel very bad for the kids who can't enjoy it and all that stuff. Yeah. Listen, Coach, what's your thoughts on the Kyrie Irving situation? That's what the people want to know. Evan, as a matter of fact, come in. I know. Cry me a river. He drafted 37th, and he's upset when he should be happy. And elite, one of the greatest athletes who ever lived. If you ever make it to the NBA, and you're not 6'10", Evan, I need your help with this. Please explain the whole Kyrie Irving contract situation, because I want to get Coach Seth Greenberg's thoughts on the situation, but I want the details first.
Okay, so Kyrie Irving has a trade wish list of teams that he can go to. And it is the Lakers, the Clippers, the Knicks, the Heat, the Mavericks, and the Sixers. So he wants to be traded to those teams if he can't get a deal with the Nets. So that list, does he have a no-trade clause? He does not. He has a $5 million trade kicker after